few weeks ago now, we ended up getting the introduction of the icon or legacy characters, that being Mason, Woods, Menendez, and Rezanov in Blackout. Those each had their own specific unique quests that you can end up doing and of course unlocking with some rather tough challenges associated with them. They've since been updated, which we'll talk about here in the later portions of this video, but we also ended up seeing as of yesterday that for PlayStation 4 users, I haven't seen just yet if it's on Xbox One and PC. If it's not, it'll be there very shortly here after that 7-day exclusivity window is up. But as of yesterday, we ended up getting the final 4 characters that we needed in Blackout actually available for unlock. That being the premise characters of Nikolai, Richtofen, Takeo, and Dempsey. So today in this video, we're going to tell you guys exactly how to get these, the best and easiest ways to go about doing so, and hopefully it helps you get these in no time. Compared to the other challenges, these ones are actually fairly simple. They just take a little bit of time and may be tedious because a lot of people may be going for them all at once. As with every new challenge update, there are going to be a lot of people hot dropping into the locations in which you can end up getting those items, so just be aware that it might take a little bit longer, but once you actually get the item, it's not all that hard to end up getting. So that said, let's jump right into it. In terms of easiest, let's start out with that one. To me, this is Takeo, in which for his mission, you end up having to find a letter to the Emperor. Now, the interesting part is there are actually multiple of these around the map. I even ended up having the opportunity to have 2 of them in my inventory at once, though you only need 1. So of course you don't need to pick up and waste an inventory slot for the second one. But you can end up finding these in a various number of locations. The first one that I came across was during the Blightfather event. I ended up killing that first game on whenever I was trying to get some B-roll footage for yesterday's update video. But from there I ended up getting it because it dropped from the Blightfather. But it's also found at 3 different static locations, that being the top floor of Lighthouse, Asylum, and the boxing gym just outside of Rivertown. Now with these, whenever you go and take a look at those static locations, each of them will have a typewriter, and when you go and look at it, it doesn't look like there's all that much to be done and it's not sitting there. But while there is no indicator for it, you can actually go and interact with that specific item, the typewriter. When you go and hold square on PlayStation 4, and when these come to Xbox One and PC, X or I believe F is the default interact key, when you go and interact with that item, it'll then pop out a letter to the Emperor. That is the questline item that you need to pick up and hold in your inventory. Now, the challenge associated with this one is rather simple, but it's actually not as simple as some of the other ones we'll talk about. Before this one, all you have to do is not use any equipment. That goes for grenades, barricades, sensor darts, anything that would be your right bumper on console to end up interacting and using with, don't use it. So essentially just drop anything that you may have, and this is actually based upon what you do after you pick it up. So I know that in the game that I picked this up off the Blightfather, earlier I'd thrown a Molotov and it doesn't count towards that, so it's only after you pick it up and have it in your inventory. But assuming you don't use any equipment, all you have to do is place top 3 in squads, top 8 in duos, or top 15 in solos with a letter to the Emperor in your inventory. And from there, well, that's all she wrote. And then you end up having, if you complete that, Tak as an unlocked character within Blackout. Jumping over to probably the second easiest of the bunch here, and one that I actually completed in the same go. As with Tak, I got both of these in the same game, that being Nikolai. The way that I actually unlocked it is different from the actual quest line that you actually have to do because I just picked it up off somebody's body. But if you want to go and end up getting Nikolai's item, this is going to end up being his Russian tanker hat. Now there's only one that is found in the game, at least that I know of at the moment, and this one is inside the graveyard just outside of Asylum. If you guys are familiar with Graveyard at all, there's a lot of loot just randomly distributed around there, but there is one location that you could never enter beforehand, that being on the side closest to Asylum, a locked mausoleum. What you have to do is grab a monkey bomb and then throw it right at that door to the mausoleum so it's right next to it, and then once it explodes, it'll make a really creepy noise at first, but it'll open that door that you can go into the mausoleum and then grab that hat. Now once you have that item in your inventory, this is honestly probably the easiest of challenges associated with it because, well, there's not really much of a challenge. All you have to do is place top 3 in squads, top 5 in duos, or top 10 in solos with a Russian tanker hat in your inventory. So for this one, just play outside a zone, don't make too much noise, and stick to yourself, and you should hopefully have this one in that same game on first try. So that's something that, again, you can end up doing real quick, real easy, and get Nikolai out of the way. Now, moving up a little bit in the complication scale a little bit, let's talk about Dempsey next, because while his challenge is still rather simple, it's probably the hardest of the three we've discussed so far, but not necessarily the hardest or most complicated compared to Richtofen, which we'll get to in a second. But for Dempsey, you need to end up finding a Juggernog bottle. Now, this one has a couple of different locations that it could be. One is static, that it will always be there, but then the other two come down to RNG, that being from the Blightfather event or from the mystery boxes around the map, whether that be in any of the zombies locations of Asylum, Graveyard, Boxing Gym, Diner, and Lighthouse. That comes down to a little bit more RNG, but if you want to be guaranteed the opportunity to end up getting this, what you'll have to do is end up making your way into the Nuketown bunker. Make your way over to the Diner side of the bunker, and from there you'll be able to see that there is that center console with all sorts of different drinks and plates and little dining stools around it. From there, you should be able to look at it and see that there is the Juggernog bottle right there on that little counter or the shelf. And once you find it, again, all you have to do is go over and pick it up, and from there, then you can take a look at the challenge, which for the challenge, all you have to do is end up killing an enemy with a grenade, and then finish the match with a bottle in your inventory. The one thing that I'm kind of bummed about that I didn't get to test because just the circumstances, you'll see in the gameplay how it worked out, is that I didn't get to test to see if this was something you could finish somebody off if you downed them with a grenade, so that you can almost guarantee yourself, because a lot of the times, unless you stick somebody, it's gonna be tough to guarantee a kill if you throw a grenade at somebody. So if you're able to end up finishing them off while they're downed, that would make life so much simpler and make this challenge way easier, especially if you play duos or quads a lot. But unfortunately, I didn't get to test that simply because, as you'll see in the gameplay, this guy's duo was right next to him and tried shooting me with a rocket launcher, so it kind of killed them both at the same time. But given the fact that all the other challenges do end up having situations like that where you can finish somebody off, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that that is possible, but I'm also gonna say that with maybe like a 75% certainty. So it's not full-on fact, but it's something that if you find the Juggernog bottle and then you end up getting a teammate that downs somebody and you wanna finish them off, it's at least worth giving a shot and should hopefully work. But again, after that, all you have to do is finish with the Juggernog bottle in your inventory. There is no specific placement that needs to happen with this one. But the final character to unlock here is Richtofen, and this is where it gets a little bit complicated, where overall it's not that hard of a challenge. The only requirements after you end up getting his item is to place top 2 in squads, top 3 in duos, or top 5 in solos, but you have to end up finding his blood vials, which will always be found at Asylum and in the blood fountain in the center of Asylum. But the part where I've seen some conflicting information is that you have to sacrifice another questline item to the blood fountain in order to exchange it for the blood vials, which is Richtofen's item. Now that makes sense because that is what you had to do in the Black Ops 3 story arc where those blood vials originated from, but it's something a little more specific. So far it seems like it is only the items of the Primus crew that work, and also you have to play as the character that you end up sacrificing their items for. So for example, the one that worked for me was I had to play as Tak with his letter to the Emperor and interact with that to trade it. I'm assuming you can also do this then with Nikolai for the Russian tanker hat, and then Dempsey with the Juggernog bottle, but if you don't have the Juggernog bottle from the Blightfather or from the Asylum mystery box, it might be tough to make your way all the way over from Nuketown to Asylum and then do that. But you have to play as the character that you're going to sacrifice that character mission for. So that's something that I would recommend. The easiest, again, for these challenges is probably Tak's, and then he also has a letter to the Emperor that is available right there in Asylum. So it's probably the easiest to do with him. If you unlock him, use him as your main character for Richtofen's quest, and then go over, activate the typewriter to get the letter to the Emperor, and then just take it right downstairs, and you'll be able to interact with and trade with the blood fountain for the blood vials. Once you go over to do this, all you have to do is, again, if you match up, press and hold square, X, or F on whatever console you're on, and it will then spit out the blood vials for you. If you don't have the right item, or it's not one that is compatible, it won't give you the option to interact with it, and certainly don't do what I did if you're still missing the item or something. Before I knew that you had to match them up with the item and the character, I ended up just dropping the item in the fountain, and then it won't let you pick it back up. But again, once you end up getting the blood vial after that slight little complication, all you have to do is place top 2 in squads, top 3 in duos, or top 5 in solos with the blood vials in your inventory, and then you'll get Richtofen. But that right there is how to get all 4 of the brand new Primus characters in Blackout. Again, they're probably gonna be a little bit tougher in terms of just being tedious, not necessarily tougher in terms of what you have to do for the challenge, but that's something that you now can get these with hopeful ease after you get this information. But a quick little mention about some other challenges, because as we've talked about here on the channel, probably the toughest of the challenges out of all the Blackout characters are the Icon or Legacy characters. And actually, a handful of those were changed as of recently, not with this past update, but a little earlier on that I never really covered on here, but want to let you guys know about this since we're talking about character unlocks. Let's start out with Menendez as the first one that got changed out. Previously, that was something you had to find his locket, which is found in supply stashes, and you had to get a melee kill as well as a shotgun kill. Now granted, these counted if somebody was downed and you finished them off, which is nice and all, but still was a little tough. Now all you have to do is end up getting 2 kills with a shotgun, and again, it can be the same situation where somebody is downed and then you finish them off with a shotgun, and it'll count for that, and then you have to finish with a locket in your inventory. Mason was additionally changed where this one's actually not as hard. You don't have to play as Rezanov anymore. You still have to find his white t-shirt, which can be found in supply stashes, but then all you have to do is wake the sleeper agent again, which is the emergency broadcast in array, which is also a dark ops challenge, then place top 4 in quads, top 8 in duos, or top 15 in solos with the stained white t-shirt in your inventory. As for Rezanov, it was slightly changed, but not necessarily in the challenge. It was more so in terms of clarity. It actually describes what was previously mentioned as just extreme range as now being 200 meters or more in game. Then once again, once you do that, you have to just place in top 2 in squads, top 3 in duos, or top 5 in solos with his hat in your inventory. Woods was left alone, and the final one that I can recall that was changed out was that Nomad was actually changed, to which you now have to only kill 2 players without them dealing any damage to you as you're in your gunfight. That was previously you had to kill 3 specialists, which was a little tougher, especially earlier on, because not many people had the specialists unlocked, but that was changed as well. That said, that is the new premise characters and the updated character missions throughout the rest of the portions of Blackout. So hopefully this helped you out in some way, shape, or form. Hopefully you can get some of these out of the way, get some challenges done with them, and hopefully enjoy. That said, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Are you guys looking forward to new characters coming in the near future potentially? And what do you hope to see out of those characters that may or may not come? And also, which one of these challenges are you looking forward to the most? Which are you looking forward to unlocking first and foremost? That said, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to drop a like down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Black Ops 4, multiplayer, Blackout, zombies. We got you covered with the best of updates, news, tips, tricks, tutorials, guides on these sort of things, and anything relating to Call of Duty Black Ops 4. We got you covered on the channel. So anything that interests you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those links are down there in the description below for you guys to check out. That said, hope you guys have a fantastic day. Thanks so much for watching. Mine's an Espresso. Take care and peace.